He's got A&M way higher than I want to put them.
I don't want to put them up there either. If we're
I've
being
got
honest.
I've got A&M at 24 on mine.
Go. Okay. Let's see. All right, we should be live, and like I said, it's just a stream starting soon right now. So
Let me refresh. You just went live on Twitch. I saw that notification.
oh yeah, we live, baby. Oh, it says I'm live. Okay. It's gonna be crazy. It's gonna be fun. Tony says I'll be on if he's stuffing his face.
Yeah, I just got done eating.
It's all right. Ain't no big deal. Get them likes in when we can. Oh. Well, said we'll give it till 8:30 and we'll take off and run. Like I said, it's going to take us a minute anyway to get going in terms of the
Setting everything up.
well, I mean, I know I got the triple set up. I don't know about the quad because obviously Jordan wasn't here last week. But
Right.
then we'll see how it goes. Like I said, won't be a big deal. But
I feel like I need to move this football somewhere. I feel like that is way too prominent.
Hey man, this is winning football right there. That's
maybe
winning football.
Maybe I need to put the two little helmets on top of the big helmet. Put that. No, my head can block it.
I mean, that's probably the most iconic thing you got in there. I mean, what else you got in there where you could say the greatest ever signed it?
Well, I found a picture, and I don't know if we'll talk about it tonight or I'll save it for the next time. But it's I can't even remember where it was from, but it was the top 10 college football coaches of all time.
Oh, yeah.
And then, of course, I mean 1 and 2. Everybody knows who 1 and 2 are.
Yeah. I mean,
but then
that's pretty much
3 through 10. I mean, I like this list, and that's why I wanted to talk about it. They got Kirby Smart at 8.
Okay. Of all time?
Yeah.
That's steep.
Fair. Well, I feel like it was fair.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not denying. I think he'll end up. Yes, I just you just got a lot of people in there that like Newt Rockney, Woody Hayes, Bo Schembechler, Barry Switzer at Oklahoma. Who was the one in the 40s that had like the winning streak at Oklahoma, like the longest winning streak of ever.
So I'll just tell you the list. It's got Saban 1, Bear Bryant 2.
Walter Camp's got to be there.
Bobby Bowden's 3, Newt Rockney 4, Woody Hayes 5, Tom Osborne 6, Paterno 7, Kirby 8, Urban Meyer 9, and Barry Switzer 10.
Wow. Okay. Well, I mean, that's not a bad list.
Yeah, that's what I say. I figured that'd be a good one to discuss and everything.
I guess we're about to hit it, and I guess we'll just pick up when we get them. Here we go. Are you ready?
Yeah, I'm good.
Okay. Here we go. All right. All right, everybody. Welcome into Lock, Loaded, and Goated. I'm your host, Brandon Andrews. Got Jeff Riddle Jr. on there on the side. Somebody's jumping in. Just when we said we was going to move on, somebody's jumping in. We're going to grab him. Let me get his camera set up.
Can't move on without me. You know better than that.
Oh man, we can and we will, but we're not going to because you're here now. So anyway, Tony's got a glass in his hand. Tony's the one that just joined up. Welcome to Lock, Loaded, and Goated. We got a pretty cool show today. So first and foremost, we're going to talk a little playoff news at the very end. We're going to kind of have a brief discussion of top 25 post-spring rankings. And I think Riddle wants to kind of go over some top 10 coaching list and get some feedback and thoughts on that. So it'll be interesting. Let me get this off screen, and we're gonna see. We're gonna start there. So Riddle, starting off, I've got Josh Pate's list pulled up. Tony, it's in Discord. If you haven't seen it, I'm sure you have, but it's in Discord.
Oh, you need to go look at it real quick.
You need to go ahead. We're gonna get the live reaction here. But go ahead and look at his list, and then don't say nothing. Don't say nothing. Save it for the show. But what we're going to do is Riddle's going to fill in he's going to go along with us. He's going to give us his top 25 as we move through the rankings, and we'll kind of comment and go from there. And we're going to try to get a live reaction out of you. And if Jordan joins, we'll try to do a live reaction from him, obviously. But what we want to talk about is top 25. So Riddle, Josh Pate only gave us top 20. You have your 25th through 21st teams. So go ahead and give us those, and me and Tony can kind of discuss. And then once we get to 20, we'll kind of like sync up and compare.
Yeah, I had some time today at work and compiled my own top 25 list with my own little formula. But I've got Oklahoma at 25, A&M at 24. Georgia Tech at 23, Texas Tech at 22, Illinois at 21, and then Michigan is my 20, but we'll go into that once we get into Pate's list. But yeah, that 21st team being Illinois, I know that made Tony happy.
I mean, if we're just good, we're not to Illinois yet, Tony, but when we get there, we do have to acknowledge they had a decent season last year. So anyway, long story short, Josh Pate put out a post-spring top 25 rankings based on his feelings, his analysis. I thought it was an interesting take. I thought he really went some real big stretches out there, some reaches, and he believes some things that we really don't. So I just want to talk about it. I felt like it was a good topic, a good discussion point. So what we're going to start is Josh Pate has Texas Tech at 20. And Riddle, obviously, you have Michigan. So,
yep.
Tony, just starting with you, what's your analysis on the Texas Tech being in the top 25? And then, obviously, some people have them even higher. But right now, top 20 team on Pate's list and a top 25 on Riddle's list.
I mean, I guess it's fair. They did finish pretty strong last year, but I still think that that's just one of those too early to call type things. Top 25. That's just. I felt like he's just trying to. I don't know. He's just throwing pulling a rabbit out of a hat. He doesn't know what he's talking about.
It's content.
I mean, that clown lost all the respect for me anyway. So yeah.
What? Why?
Why
is he a clown? Why is he a clown? I just want to know. Me and Riddle were just talking about how much we like him.
First off, besides, I mean, I'm not going to get too far ahead. Besides of, the real big orange not being on there, like at least fucking 20 or 25.
What are you talking about? He's got the real orange on 1 and 2.
No, we're not talking about the ugly burnt orange.
I mean, Syracuse,
Junior, we're not talking about that.
Syracuse ain't on there, but I mean, damn.
I'm just saying. Orange, right? I mean, first off, he lost all credibility anyway, so there's number 1. But we'll get to that.
Okay, yeah, I know.
Later.
I know we're gonna get there. Okay, all right. So Texas Tech, do you think they should be top 20? I mean, it's content.
I mean,
it's something to talk about. What do you think?
I'll give him 25 just because. I mean, hell, that's just like 25 is probably one of the hardest positions to give someone in. Because, I mean, there's a lot of teams, obviously, that could be behind them to jump them any moment. I mean, it's Texas Tech. I mean, congratulations to them. They got a top 25 ranking. I don't know how the hell that happened, but they did.
Yeah, I mean, like, I don't necessarily – I know they finished strong, and like me and Riddle were talking about, the system, the program, it's in a good spot. I just thought the Big 12 was so weak. Now, it's probably the most exciting conference of football because it actually came down to, like, several teams at the end. But, like, I just don't – the whole Big 12 to me, like, I don't know. I'm just not a fan. But, Riddle, you have Michigan. So
I do.
Kind of elaborate why you have Texas Tech a little lower and why you have Michigan at 20. What's your thought process? What are you feeling? Oh, I tell you what, explain your ranking system first.
Okay, so what I did is I took the final AP poll of last year, the way too early in January poll, the pre-spring poll rankings,
Okay.
and then the post-spring rankings after the transfer portal business and all that. And I took them from multiple different sites and then looked at key additions and key losses and then made a ranking system. And literally the difference between Michigan and Texas Tech on my ranking system is 1.5 points. That's how close they are. And from Michigan to Oklahoma is about 4 points difference. So all those teams at the bottom are really close. But Jordan Marshall, the running back for Michigan, and then the transfer from Alabama, Justice Haynes. It's going to be a 1-2 punch again, and that's what they're going to lean on. That's what Michigan's built on, and they're still going to have a really good defense. So they play in a really tough and competitive conference, especially at the top. So there's one of the lists, the post spring list had them at 9. So
there is no way.
I agree.
There's no way. I don't know who they think they have at quarterback, but I can assure you he ain't him, not yet. He may end up being him, but he ain't him yet. I can promise you that. Not to take on the Ohio States of the world and all those other teams, because the Big Ten was competitive last year. I mean, I would call it what it is. They were competitive.
Well, Michigan, owns Ohio State right now. So
they do 100% in defense. Like we just talked about, defense can win those games, and they have a good defense. Okay, I can see it. I can feel both those teams. Top 25 vibes. Tony, before we move any further, I do want to mention that I didn't see Tennessee on the list here. Riddle had him at 25. Do you agree with his assessment of a 25th ranked Tennessee, knowing how he ranked them?
Oh, on my list, I had Oklahoma at 25. Tennessee actually is a little bit higher on mine.
Okay. Okay. Oh, I'm sorry. Then apologize. Forgive me. So Tennessee's a little higher. So, all right, Tony, don't even answer yet. All right, so number 19 on Josh Pate's list. Thriller says no love for USC in the top 25. No.
Not yet in that Big Ten.
No, not yet. Had to have a big improving season right now. Anyway, so Michigan is at Bryce. I'm sorry, he said. Thriller got me for Bryce Underwood in the chat there, but yeah, Michigan's quarterback Bryce Underwood. Pate has him at 19. So, Riddle, who do you got at 19 so we can compare and contrast here? Me and Tony inquiring minds need to know.
I have Florida at 19.
Okay. See, I think that's a realistic spot for Florida. I think I like that. I definitely like I like DJ Lagway more than I like Bryce Underwood right now.
And Florida's returned 4 offensive linemen on that line. So, they're going to have experience. They're going to get better. They improved. They're one of those teams that improved all year. Each week they got better and better. So,
yeah, okay. So, Tony, you got 2 top 19 teams there. Michigan on Pate's list, and Riddle has Florida. Give me your comparisons and what you think there.
With who? Michigan and Florida?
Yeah,
like at that spot.
Yeah, Pate has him at 19, and then Riddle obviously got Florida.
I'm surprised. I guess the Michigan one's fair because they did play better down the stretch in the last season. If we're going to go off of that, isn't that coach in trouble or some shit?
He's suspended, but he's suspended for 2 BS games, and. Yep. They kind of picked and choose what BS games. It was like Nebraska and somebody else. It was some joke.
Yeah, it was a self-imposed
suspension. Yeah, for 2 games. For him knowingly lying about cheating, and but that's Michigan. It is what it is. It's water under the bridge.
Well, besides all that nonsense they've been doing, hell, with the Florida, you said you had them at 19. Hell,
that's what Riddle has them at 19.
Yeah, I'm just basing off that. Michigan's, that's a fair spot because it's still unknown. Just like you guys throw at me when Tennessee, because they lost everybody. But hell, Florida though, I feel like Florida can probably be moved up a little more than that. I put Florida over South Carolina. The next spot, in my opinion. Hell, even Georgia Tech. And it's hard for me to take Georgia Tech seriously. Okay.
I got you.
It's just Georgia Tech.
Don't jump into Georgia Tech yet.
I know. I'm just looking at the rankings. Florida, with his pick, I feel like they should be higher. Michigan's fair. I know who Bryce Underwood.
Yeah.
Still don't know what he's gonna do. I mean, look, I watched Nico all year last year. He didn't do anything. So.
True freshman in college football quarterback is not easy to do. Very few people have done it well. It is possible, though, so I'm not going to sit there and say it's impossible. But
yeah, it's possible. I mean, it just doesn't happen all the time where a kid, true freshman, redshirt freshman, whatever, first-year starter just comes out and just sets the college football canvas on fire. It just doesn't happen a lot. Yeah. So I wouldn't expect too much. So.
Well, you heard Riddle, too, like, they're going to play defense and they're going to run the ball to protect him. So,
they won't let him do anything stupid.
Okay.
You know,
okay.
It might be like another Nico situation. Besides all the BS, because his play wasn't great, so they covered his mediocre play up, defensive run game. Michigan's got that, so
yeah. I just want to know. I want to know. Thriller says if they get no bowl ban, I will lose my shit. Or you put S, but I'm assuming you meant shit. So we can say we can say shit on this show. We're big boys. But anyway, okay. So moving on, Riddle Pate has South Carolina at 18. I'm gonna start chiming in on this one. I want to know what your 18 is, and then I'll let you explain, and then me and Tony will kind of dig in.
My 18, I have Miami.
Okay. I mean, explain it.
They, for what it's worth, they have Beck coming in. They play in a weak ACC, as of what we've seen. They got some young guys at receiver and running back this year, so offensively, obviously, there's those questions. But Corey Heatherman's been hired as their defensive coordinator for this year, and they're going to have talent down there. They're always going to have the talent. It's whether that talent can get coached up. I put them at 18. Again, like I said, the bottom 15 or so, 10 or so of my rankings, they're very, very close. It could shuffle either way.
So before we move on, just to comment on the Miami, then I'll let Tony have it. Miami, they did lose some pieces. But at 18, I do want to make note that has them not making the playoff. Right. So it'll be interesting to see who from the ACC you have making the playoff, besides the obvious one that's going to be in the list. But we'll get into that. So Tony, South Carolina on Pate's list, Miami on Riddle's. What you think?
Let's see. Pate has who now? In front of who?
Pate has South Carolina in front of Michigan.
Okay, so he's got South Carolina at 18, and Miami as his 12. I mean, the Miami one's fair because, they went and got Carson back, played SEC. Is that arm going to be good? Is it going to be good to go? I mean, apparently it was significant enough for him to not be able to play. It's like Tommy John. I don't know if he actually had the surgery. Did he have the surgery?
He had surgery on it.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I think he's been cleared to start football activities again, but I mean, their season's going to hinge on him.
Yeah, it's hard for me to think that Beck's going to replicate anything that Cam Ward did. And even if he does, does, maybe just under the bar of what Cam Ward did, that defense is still kind of sus.
New defense coordinator.
No defense, Swiss cheese.
The defense is still questionable at best. Yeah. I think the 12 is way too high on pace list. Riddle gave a fair one. And they got like maybe one solid defensive end.
Yeah.
Miami does.
So what do you think about the South Carolina being at 18?
Well, that's a weird one for me because I think Sellers is going to obviously roll on Sellers, how well he does. But they do have a good defense, so I'll give them that. They got a good
defense,
a good front seven.
They do. Now they lost a lot of pieces on the front seven.
They did.
Yeah, but they got some transfers in too.
Yeah,
they did. They're solid. I just chemistry. I think they'll be okay. But
South Carolina, 18. They could probably be maybe a little higher. Obviously, I think their coach is ass, but it is Beamer's ass. He's ass, and he's an ass. So,
Okay. So I just want to comment on the Miami situation. So, and this is just going back because we have a Georgia fan in the midst. So Beck had a decent career at Georgia. I think we all can agree. I didn't say it was stellar. I just said decent. He obviously regressed last year. He's going to Miami where maybe he'll have more options to open it up a little bit more. I don't know. But one has to sit here and think, and I'm posing this to Riddle mainly, but obviously the chat, that is he going to be any better because he's not going to get the same number of opportunities he got at Georgia. Georgia, turn the ball over, do all that stupid crap, you go get the ball right back from the defense. The amount of passing attempts he got from the defense alone at Georgia is going to be insurmountable versus what he's going to get at Miami, and I don't think he's Cam Ward. So I'm just, Riddle, you can chime in there, but
I think you will see him if his arm is good to go 100%. I think you'll see him have about the same type of year, and the reason being is everybody was real high on Carson Beck, and I said this multiple times last year. It's easy to be one of the top quarterbacks in college football when you have Ladd McConkey and Brock Bowers running down the field every play.
Yeah.
And he's not going to have that at Miami. He didn't have that last year, and he struggled.
I agree, Thriller.
The ACC is down.
Yes, they are.
So there will be games where he'll shine, but against that top, the Clemsons, if they have to play them in the ACC championship game, or some of these other teams, the scrappy teams like a North Carolina, that's probably a middle of the road ACC team, but could sneak up on you.
Yeah.
Teams like that, he'll have those. Right, he'll have those, 2 interception games, and like you said, he's not going to have the drives that he had at Georgia, and will those turnovers cost him more this year than it did last year?
I think so. All right, and then the only thing I'll say about South Carolina, and I'm going to be on the freaking minority bus, I already know. Lenore Sellers, everyone is jumping on this bandwagon, and when I watched him, when I watched him play last year, I saw Milroe to the frickin' T. I saw games where he would throw the ball and look as accurate as Peyton Manning, and then I saw games where he completely went away from it and just ran the football, and it cost him some games. Now, he's going to be a year older, and I'm hoping, for his sake, that he's better than Milroe and doesn't regress like Milroe did. But I'm probably the minority in that. I'm just telling you that what I saw last year and the way they used him, I don't know. I'm just nervous. I guess I got Milroe like itis. I'm just scared that it's gonna be contagious and catch on in college football. I don't know. But anyway, Thriller says he thinks he's way overrated and it's gonna show this year. Thriller might not be wrong. I mean, I don't know. And then real quick before we move on, Dylan says, "What do you think LSU's going to do?" You got to stick around, Dylan, because I think we got them a little farther up. So, Tony, here we go. Pate has 17 as Georgia Tech. Riddle, give me your 17 before we let Tony just rear back and go.
I don't even know. I just want to know, what does he know that we don't know? I'm just trying to figure out. I mean, is there something that everybody is missing in this entire nation right now? Because
let's see if Riddle's
top 20.
Is Riddle smarter?
I mean,
is Riddle smarter?
That team's scrappy, but my 17 is Iowa State.
Okay.
And
I've seen a lot of things where Iowa State's going to make it. Go.
Rocco Beck's returning. He was one of the top quarterbacks in the Big 12. He can sling it. Let's see, threw for over 3,500 yards last year and had the bowl win against Miami. He's coming back.
That dude's a stud. That dude turned down Tennessee and said, "F you, Heupel." That's what he did.
Their questions obviously are at receiver. They lost 2 receivers that had 60% of their catches last year. And then on top of that, it's the Big 12, so you don't know if the defense is going to show up or not. So, but I got them at 17. And that might. No, I got another Big 12, couple more up the list, but
Yeah, please highlight when you get to the end of a conference, like who you think's going to make the playoff. Highlight that for me because I want to know. Like because we're going to get into the nitty gritty when we get top 15. It's going to be I know it's going to be real tight and debatable. But Tony, so what do you think? Georgia Tech and he had Riddle. Who'd you have again?
He's only giving Georgia Tech props just because they play fucking Georgia well in like what 3 or 4 overtimes. Get the fuck out of here.
They were a scrappy team.
Yeah, they did lose their best receiver. They lost their best receiver to Auburn. Which it's a whole debatable thing too.
I'm sorry. I'm kicking them completely the fuck out. They're not even sniffing top 25. So that's insane to me. That's insane.
So even with Haynes King, you don't think they're good enough?
No.
I mean, they have a more. And I'm just saying. So you're saying it's based on other things because they have a more proven QB than almost anybody in the country. Would you agree with that?
He got reps. He got reps in. But
he's one of the most experienced coming back.
Yeah. Okay. But so Tony, you're saying defensively, everything else.
Well, I'll say this. I'll give them. I guess they have a fighting chance in the ACC. They have a fighting chance in the ACC.
Okay. Well. All right.
And guess what? Tennessee gets to play them bums too this year. So here we go.
Oh my gosh. Well, there we go. So Riddle, Pate has Ole Miss at 16, and I would love to know who you have at 16, and then you give us your comparison.
I also have Ole Miss at 16, so that was one that we matched up on.
It's Riddle Pate.
I have them at 16, and look, they're where they're at simply because I think their quarterback is a special talent. He can run and he can sling it and he can throw into some tight windows. He did it against Georgia. We got to see it firsthand against Georgia last year.
Yeah.
Georgia had a good defense. You can say what you want. Our defense was the reason we got to where we got to last year.
Yeah, it was good.
But they did lose a little bit on defense. Kiffin always gets the transfer guys to come in. Love him or hate him, I think he's a pretty good coach. He's going to have a competitive team, and I'm glad we play them at home this year, but it's not a game that I'm super excited about, just like last year.
So before we throw it to Tony, Purnell says Tech will be a top 25 team, and Thriller on the purple says good defense at Georgia Tech and a vet QB, dangerous in the ACC. So they said F you, Tony. They don't believe in what you're selling. But it's okay. Everyone's entitled to their opinion.
I love everyone's entitled to.
So what do you think about Ole Miss? Ole Miss, is this unanimous? Ole Miss at 16. What do you think?
I mean, they could be dropped down a little further if it was me, just because I don't care what the Austin Simmons kid did last year. I mean, really, they obviously lost Jackson Dart, bunch of many other weapons, but they're really
lost a lot on the defensive side.
Yes, they're literally relying on the portal. The team is built around the fucking portal. So hopefully the chemistry is there for them to make somewhat of a decent run like they did last year. I mean, I guess people are going to give him credit too because Lane Kiffin's the coach, but it's not like he's ever done anything special either. But I guess that's fair. 16, I definitely wouldn't go any better than that, but they could easily drop down a little lower.
I like Ole Miss at 16. I think they're going to be in the playoff hunt. If something bounces their way, they could be in the mix. If something bounces away from them, they could be out of it. I will say they did lose a lot on defense, and Riddle, as well as I do, being a Georgia fan, there is something about continuity on a team. Georgia has transfers coming in, but they also build it from the ground up. The Kiffin model won them some games last year, but I also think it lost them some games. I think having all those players from the portal, I think it does lose you some games where you've got continuity in a team like Georgia. It's homegrown, where you add a few pieces here and there. I think that's more natural, and it's easier to overcome some of the adversity. I don't know. That's my opinion. I could be wrong, but I like Ole Miss at 16. I do like them at 16. I think that was a great assessment there. So, Riddle, Pate has Illinois, the Fighting Altmaiers, at 15. Who do you got at 15, and tell us why?
All right, so I have Tennessee at 15 on my list, and here's why. We know that they're going to have basically an entire turnover on their offense, but here's one thing we do know. Josh Heupel can score points no matter who's lining up on offense. He's done it everywhere he's been. You cannot take that away from him.
Yep.
His offensive system puts up points, plain and simple. On the defensive side of the ball, Tennessee's going to be good defensively. They have the talent and the guys there that, I mean, they could be a top 10 overall defense.
They got Tim Banks. That's all we need to know.
Calm down now.
It honestly, their team has the potential to look a lot like Georgia's last year, where they rely on their defense to get the stops, to give them short fields, to get those turnovers. And then the offense growing every week under Heupel, short fields. Hell, Carson Beck thrived on the short field last year. That's the only time he thrived. But, I mean, that's the kind of thing that, you know, a defense like Tennessee is going to have can do for you. So I have them at 15. That's probably one of the biggest differences in mine and Pate's list.
Okay. All right, Tony, I'm assuming you like Riddle's assessment much more than Illinois, the other Orange team you support, at 15.
I mean, the Vols thing's fine because, again, it's one of those things. Like he said, and then we said before, anywhere Heupel goes, he puts points up. I know a lot of people are, we got Joey Aguilar, who, I know he played App State, but what I liked about him was he's a slinger, and he's not afraid to throw it. Unlike the kid last year who was scared to throw it or just overthrew it.
That's your boy.
But put someone like that in a offense that obviously has more talent than what App State had, better coaching, better system, all that. The system fits him better than I felt like it did fit Nico. Yeah. Nico got his wish, whatever. But I will say this about Illinois. The only thing they have going for them is they literally return a shitload of their starters, including Luke Altmaier. But again, they're playing in a tough conference. I mean, you got Ohio State, Michigan, Penn State. So I mean, it's kind of hard to rank them there. I mean, they could easily slip, further down, just based on who they had. And hell, even maybe Indiana still might surprise us again. I don't know. We'll see about that.
I doubt it.
But I mean, I'll give those ugly Illini though credit though. I mean, they have a shot just because. Hell, they return a lot of their players. They can't get any worse, I don't think.
Yeah, so the purple over here on the purple Thriller wants you to know lowest scoring season for Hype this year. You heard it here first. Lowest scoring season he's had. You heard it here first. Listen, I'm not going to doubt Heupel. I do think he has a good program, a good system. Tennessee is going to be this is a rebuild year, though. I mean, they did lose some, key pieces on defense. They're still going to have a good defense. I think we all can agree there. And I think they're going to have a good offense just because of who it is. But is it going to be Dylan Sampson running through people? I don't think so.
But Tennessee has that tendency, though, to still put out a running back.
They do.
They still do.
Yeah, 100%.
I mean, we've had a run back for the last 5 years now.
Yes,
I just want to piggyback off of Thriller's comment. Apple could average 30 points a game, and it'd probably be the lowest of his career. So
that's true.
Last year,
that's true.
last season,
what was last season?
Wasn't very good.
What was last season?
I don't know, but it felt worse than.
Defense is why y'all won so many games, dude. Defense and running the football.
Yeah, it wasn't offense. Offense was absolute poo-poo. Trash.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what it was.
There's the first trash.
And I will say this about Illinois.
Bad besides run game. So.
Riddle and me, we talked about this before that we got on live. The big thing about Illinois is they are coming off a very hot and heavy win over South Carolina in the bowl game. I think they're riding that momentum train, so we'll see how far it carries them. I don't know. Like I said, I mean, South Carolina may have been down by not making the playoff. I don't know, but either way, we're going to move on to 14. Riddle, Josh Pate has Texas A&M and those fighting men down there, the men cheerleaders at Texas A&M. Who do you got at 14?
So I've got Indiana at 14 on my list, just barely above Tennessee. And the reason being is, Cignetti came in there and he made a splash.
He's just a winner.
Arguably, yeah. I mean, great coach, great mentality, great attitude all the time. And then, their defense, they returned a lot on that defense. And their defense was pretty good last year. I mean, we
Agreed.
talked about it a lot.
Yeah.
So it's kind of they're very similar to Tennessee though. They're going to have to rely on that defense a lot again, and in a tough conference. But I do have them at 14.
Okay, Tony, you heard me say Texas A&M at 14 for Pate. You heard Riddle. You heard Riddle. What's your synopsis on both these teams?
I can't put them there. I mean, if
Which
I'm
one?
looking at it at the end of the season.
Which one?
14 Texas A&M, right? And who'd you have there, Riddle?
Indiana.
Indiana.
I'm gonna agree with you. I'm not gonna put either one of them there, to be honest with you.
Yeah, Texas can actually almost kick rocks out of top 25. Honestly, in my opinion, Texas A&M, not Texas. Indiana, they possibly could too, but I think I like what Indiana did have going from last year. And I know that they lost what's his name, quarterback. Had brain fart. Shit,
Charles, you crazy.
You know what I'm talking
about? They lost Rourke.
Yeah, Rourke.
Curtis
so
Rourke.
He's gone. And I
I
guess
said
there's
that
not
I
a
was
lot.
muted,
Yeah, there's
What
not
is
a
it?
lot.
I said Rourke, but I was muted.
Signetti. Yeah.
Oh.
There's not a lot that are high apparently on Signetti's second season, I guess.
Yeah.
Mainly probably just because they did lose Rourke.
Yeah.
They did get a transfer quarterback.
Yeah.
So maybe he can keep that going for him.
Maybe.
What's his name? Fernando Mendoza.
Mendoza, yeah.
It can't be any worse than what Vandy's got. And hell, I've seen some besides Pate's top 25 or 20 that actually have Vandy in it for whatever reason. I don't know. I guess because of Pavia, which is a joke. But I mean, Texas A&M 14. I guess starting off isn't bad. I just don't think they'll stay there. That's just my opinion. They'll fall out pretty far.
And so I'll just ask this question for you guys. So Indiana, he actually came on Greg McElroy's show and on his podcast. Signetti did, and they have a much tougher schedule this year. They do play Penn State, they do play Oregon. It's going to be a hard road. Can they go in that conference and go 9-3? Yes, and I think if they do go 9-3, they could be right there at 14. I think we all would have said, yeah, that'd be a good season for Indiana. So, yeah, I can see Indiana going there. Texas A&M. My only problem with Texas A&M is Elko started out very hot last year, very hot. Like we were all sitting there talking about Texas A&M, and Marcel Reed on fire. We now have tape on Marcel Reed. Can Marcel Reed beat you by throwing the football? I don't know. He kind of took if you remember last year, Wegman kind of came in and they played that ring around the rosy crap almost every game. And then when Reed finally did take over, because he did take over in the LSU game, and when he finally did take over, they had some losses at the tail end and didn't look really competitive in some games. And I just don't know. It's not the quarterback. It's more, can Elko live up to the hype at Texas A&M and the expectations? I don't know that. He has a hell of a defense. But you talk about a team that lost a lot on defense. I don't know if anybody lost as much on defense as Texas A&M did. But anyway, that's my 2 cents. All right,
and
here's
I had them at 24. So
yeah. Well, you're same lines. I could 24 Riddle. I'm in. I'm buying at 24. Thriller says, I agree with Tony on A&M, way overrated, blew a 21-point lead to USC in the Vegas Bowl. Yeah, I mean, exactly. So Tony's right on point too. So 13, I like this for Josh Pate. I'm digging it. I can't wait to see what Riddle says. 13, Pate has Arizona State. Riddle, who you got?
So I have SMU here. And
you motherfucker.
this is one
SMU.
They're gonna have the skill, but they replaced. They brought in 9 guys on the defense in the transfer portal, and it's kind of like what you were talking about with the cohesiveness on a defense.
Yeah,
they do return Kevin Jennings though. That kid, he's got talent. He can run. He can play, and they're in the ACC. That's another big factor in this being where they are. I don't like them there per se, but in my system, that's where they came out of because they've got a lot of questions too. I mean, we're in the post-spring right now.
Yes.
I mean, a lot of teams still have questions, and we'll figure them out soon enough. And SMU could be one of those teams that nothing gels with the guys they brought in, and they fall out real quick, and then we don't talk about them anymore. But they have potential to make a run in the ACC.
So you have SMU knocking on the door of the playoffs at 13. Yeah. Okay. I do. Cool. Yeah. Okay. Tony, Arizona State for Pate and SMU for Riddle.
I mean, both could go there, honestly. Because you know what I keep forgetting about is SMU is an ACC, and like I just gave someone some credit saying, they got fighting Georgia Tech. Yeah. These motherfuckers got a fighting chance too. They're an ACC. Wow. And the quarterback, he's a baller. But hell, I still like Arizona State too, just because they still have. I know they lost Scadaboo, but they still have. They still have Levitt. They play in another weak ass conference.
Is there anybody, real quick, anybody in that conference that touches him at quarterback that you can think of?
No.
I can't off the top of my head. I just
off my head.
No. Big 12.
Big 12. Oh yeah.
I mean, I think he's like so far ahead of everybody. It's not even close. But so I like Arizona State there, and Riddle. I don't mind SMU. I just, after what we experienced last year, they're a team that's going to go and they're going to get destroyed by whoever they play. It doesn't matter. Yeah. They're going to get destroyed. All right. We'll move on. So Josh Pate thinks a little bit more of Miami than Riddle did, but he has him at 12. Riddle, who do you have at 12?
This is another one that could, I feel like, go either way. I have BYU there.
Okay.
Because, I mean, they're in the Big 12. They got Jake Retzlaff returning. He's going to have to be better with the ball than he was late in the year last year, but they did go 11-2 last year. And so they had some key losses in the trenches. They didn't really hit the transfer portal as hard as a lot of teams do, but they are in the Big 12. This is kind of like that ACC. Well, yeah, but
it's hard to find a lot of white talent in Riddle.
The great white hope.
Thank you, Kias. Appreciate you, bro.
But that's the thing is, again, this is the Big 12 we're talking about. So
yeah, they got shot.
If everything falls into place for them, they could be right there in the mix again at the end. Yeah. So
okay.
Yeah, I agree. That's fine. I mean, like you said, Big 12, ACC, Pac-10, or whatever the hell they are. I mean, those are like inferior conferences, obviously. As BYU, like last year, like you said, Retzlaff, and they still have their returning tailback too, LJ Martin. So, I mean, the offense can still, probably move the ball down the field. Their defense wasn't terrible for what they were last year. I just even last year, I didn't buy into them last year.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was not, because they just don't have enough dark skinned players. But other than that, that's okay. Where you got BYU, because I'm just looking across elsewhere. Hell, some have BYU top 10.
So you don't like Miami there at all? You don't like Miami at 12 at all?
Me, no. Okay. I don't. Okay. No. Well, I don't.
So let's catch up on the comments. Kia says, happy affiliate anniversary. Thank you, Kias. And he said that Tennessee has the second easiest schedule in the SEC. What does Tony think about that? Tony's probably licking his lips.
Listen, we might have the easiest, but still, I mean, there's really 3 huge games that if they lose all 3 of those, they can't lose any other ones.
How is it as easy as Texas's, though? I don't understand.
I don't know. That's
how anybody's schedule. I don't know. Outside of Georgia.
I mean, the SEC schedule is the same as it was last year. The home and away is
just home and away. Which makes a difference, Riddle. That makes a difference.
Oh, that's for us, big time.
Yeah,
we don't have to go
100%.
on the road to all those places this year.
I know. Yeah.
We got to go on the road to Tennessee. That's it.
Yeah. Okay. So moving on, this is where it's going to get interesting. Josh Pate has the Georgia Bulldogs at number 11. So we're getting to the point now we got to start really paying attention to things, because the Georgia Bulldogs are at 11. So that would make them a playoff team. I easily could see that. Riddle, who do you have at 11? Let's have a discussion.
I think I'm going to catch some hell from both of y'all for the way my system came out, but I have South Carolina at 11.
That's fine.
I don't care. Yeah, that's fine. That makes more sense than goddamn Georgia. and I'm talking about going the other way.
Right. I am on the not so much on the bandwagon for Sellers, but I think he has a lot of upside. The kid's got talent, and he can use his legs. And in the SEC, if you can use your legs and throw the ball too,
yeah,
you can make plays. You can make things happen, especially against that and their defense. I sound like Joe Biden right there. I started another sentence before I finished the last one. But
please, don't ever sound like that again.
Their defense,
thank you, Courtney.
Dylan Stewart is going to wreak havoc.
Yeah, he's good.
The kid's very good. I think their defense is going to be good. I have them at 11. So,
all right. Tony, you got Georgia on Pate's list. And here's the interesting part, Riddle, just looking at the overall rankings, if Georgia were to finish 11th, you would not be in the playoff. You'd be out because of automatic qualifiers, which is crazy to me.
Correct.
But, Tony, tell me your opinion, your perspective on Georgia at 11 for Pate. And then, obviously, Riddle, with who he's got, South Carolina.
I think I've already said what I have to say about the guy. I think he's an idiot, first off. Until Georgia has a season, where they just absolutely shit the bed, then you can maybe drop them somewhat. But pretty much they just do what Bama was doing there for a long time, which is reloading. That's what they fucking do every year. I don't believe that for a second that they're going to be right on the fringe of missing playoffs. That's insane to me. That's insane for him to even come up with that. I don't know what his thought process is.
I don't either. He had one.
I guess he had one. Like he's throwing darts. Something. I don't know. And if Riddle's going to put Tennessee at 15 and this clown's got Georgia at 11, no, because I'm still going to give Georgia the edge over Tennessee regardless.
We talked about that.
They're way up there. I can't. The only shot like Tennessee and Georgia, the game is in Knoxville. That's the only hope Tennessee's got this year. Other than that, I think that that's a very low ranking, a preseason ranking for them. That's some shit that Tennessee would get in years past. Even though, we didn't even deserve to be there. But no, Georgia. That's I take that as an insult, honestly. Yeah. If I was a Georgia fan at 11.
Yeah. So Kia said, "I love you, Tony, and I'm drinking this one for you." So
hey, keep drinking.
Cheers. He said, "Keep drinking, brother. Keep drinking." So anyway, I'm gonna give my 2 cents. I've been trying to kind of let y'all go at this, but I think Georgia being this low is criminal. That means, because especially knowing who we've got on the list coming up, that means you've got them way underperforming in the SEC. And Jesse Baker wanted to know on the defense, if you looked at the chat, he said he was talking about South Carolina's defense, and he said defense based on what? They lost everyone.
They lost some, but they still have a huge key piece, though.
Yeah, they're entitled to their opinions. It's okay. We're gonna keep going down the list, though. But this is where I said Pate was going hard. And I put question marks. He has Oklahoma at number 10, and if there is one person on this list that I do not agree with, this is it. This is the one that I can't buy into. I can't see it. Riddle, who do you have at 10? And we'll just jump into discussion.
So I have LSU at 10, and
okay,
they got Nussmeier coming back.
Yes,
their defensive and offensive lines have been completely rebuilt, though. Yeah. I mean, we've talked about it all through this list. You can't just bring people in that have never played together. Yep. You got to have that familiarity with the guy beside you. They got some questions there. Now, one thing we can say is they're going to have dynamic playmakers. They always have, and they always will.
Yep.
So I think their offense can put up a lot of points if the offensive line can hold up. And if that defensive line, starts causing problems and that defense returns to what an LSU defense should be, which they were far from it last year, LSU has the talent to make a run. So that's where I got them. I got them at 10 right now.
Yeah.
I mean, you've noticed that Brian Kelly, since he's been there, their defense has been total ass.
Yep, it's
So
the wrong
I don't
direction.
see anything changing. I don't see anything changing. And I like him as a head coach, anyways, especially in the SEC. But I mean, yeah, they got what? They got some of the top. Well, I guess that before Nico started asking in the transfer portal, they had the top.
Yeah, they
transfer
had
portal.
Berrien from the wide receiver.
Yeah.
They have a lot of big ads. They probably
So
as far as
yeah,
overall team number one additions for transfers.
they're going to put points on the board, but hell, I mean, look what happens to them whenever they played a team with any kind of defense. I mean, they don't have Jaden Daniels anymore back there. That's going to put up 50 plus every game.
I just
don't
see it.
That's fair. Really, you have them wear 10?
10.
Yeah.
That's fair. That's fair. Yeah, it's like right in the middle, top 20. So they could be really good, and they could just be they're all right. I mean, and it's all going to come down to coaching.
I like them at 10, Riddle. I do. I like them at 10. I think they're good enough to be a top 10 team. I think my biggest concern with LSU is we watched them last year. We were all on their praises. Alabama went in there and beat the crap out of them at Death Valley. They're inconsistent. They did add a lot of pieces, like you said, but is that consistency going to hold up? I don't know. I do like them. I think they have the talent to be a top 10 team. I just don't see the amount of teams on the list here all making the playoffs. I mean, we saw last year. I don't foresee us all making this, so I don't know how it's going to play out. But if there was a team that I would say is on the outside looking in, I would put Georgia in, and I'd put LSU on the outside looking in for sure. And I got Georgia higher than that too.
Right, a lot of these teams at the top, especially, they come from basically the same conferences, and they'll eliminate each other. I mean, it's going to be an elimination all year. You know, you got to win to get in. So
yeah.
Now that there's 12 teams,
yeah.
Go ahead.
Thriller said, "How do you like Kelly? He's a terrible coach and a huge asshole." I don't like Kelly.
I don't think anyone's good.
I don't think anybody likes him. I think. I mean, you respect him. You know, you respect him, but like
To an extent.
Yeah, I don't like him. I can't stand him. I think
No.
I still remember him at Notre Dame turning as red as an Alabama uniform when somebody'd score on him. I just looked like he was going to have a stroke out there. But anyway, let's move on the list. So number nine. This is Pate's he's getting wild with this thing. He has Florida and the Fighting Napiers at number 9. Riddle, who do you got at 9?
This is where Alabama comes in on my list. And we talked before the show on Alabama. If Simpson ends up being the starter, which we all think he does, and he's a good fit for DeBoer's system, he's got one of the best receiving corps in the nation. Plain and simple.
Yep.
Ryan Williams. Don't even need to say anything else.
Yeah.
You know, if they get a little bit more consistent on defense, Alabama's going to be there. I mean, we've talked about it before. Guys go to Alabama not for money; they go to Alabama for the name.
Yeah, it's a brand.
There's still a few of those schools out there, and
Very few.
Georgia still can't beat them. That plaque up there, I have that plaque because it's the only time we've done it since I was in high school.
You have done it.
So one time since I was in high school.
But it made a difference.
Yeah, it's for a national title. I'll take it.
Yeah.
But you know, Alabama's still Alabama. They had a down year last year. DeBoer was coming in. It was his first year. He's got to install his system. He's got to get his guys in there the way he wants them. Milroe was not it for y'all last year.
No.
I can't tell you how many times me and you went back and forth on who had the worst quarterback at times between him and Carson Beck.
I still think it's me, but you know.
Last year, that was funny because we all had bad quarterbacks.
Oh man,
I have Alabama at
Tony.
9.
We didn't make the playoffs.
I don't care.
All right, so I'm going to jump in on this. All I'm going to say about Alabama. I think Alabama has the potential to make a playoff. So I'm a Bama fan. Obviously, I think that I can see the love for Florida. It seems a little high for me at 9. It seems a little high. I like Lagway. I like Florida's pieces. You still have Billy Napier as a coach. He has to do more to prove to me that he's the next coming of Urban Meyer, or he's one of those guys that's going to be able to do it consistently. I haven't seen it yet, so we'll see. Remember, this guy wasn't very good at Louisiana. I mean, he was middle of the road at Louisiana, but I like Billy Napier. He's a Saban guy. But I'm just saying, like, I don't know if he's going to take them to the next level, get him in that top 10, get him in the playoff. But I do like Lagway, and I mean, he's probably one of the more dynamic quarterbacks in this whole league. And as far as Riddle goes, as far as Alabama, the one team in this whole thing that we got better the day that the quarterback left, we got better. I mean, we absolutely got better. There is no denying it. It doesn't even matter who the quarterback is. A rock could be back there catching the football, and it will be better than Milroe. And I'm not trying to hate on the kid. I'm just saying the team got better without him. The facts are the facts. So anyway, Tony, do you like the Florida and the Alabama picks there?
Well, the Florida, I think they should be about mid-pack, around Tennessee territory. I do like Lagway, though. I like him better than a lot of the quarterbacks in the SEC, even last year. But, yeah, it's just one of those things. It's the unknown. Yeah, they finished pretty strong, about midway point. Really, kind of after the Tennessee game. I mean, they gave Tennessee runs for the money thanks to Nico.
Great. They played Joe great, though.
Yeah, but thanks to fucking Nico, because he can't hit shit. From that point on, though, they played well, but it's just the unknown. I mean, besides Lagway, I know they got pieces, but I don't know if I could ride them like I could Lagway and the coaching again. Like, I don't know. Let's see what he does this year. Now, Bama's one of those teams where obviously they're a lot of talent.
Yeah.
Nine's fair, but it's one of those things where they have potential to obviously be easily a top 5. That's the potential.
That's the ceiling, though. That's the ceiling. We could be a top 5 team. Ceiling, we could win it all, but obviously the basement could fall out too. So, I mean, it just depends on how this new quarterback plays out. I
know last year, obviously the Milroe situation didn't work out and cost you guys a spot in the playoffs. But I still think just because.
I'm not trying to.
I still think they're riding off that wave still, saving still. I don't give a shit.
And I'm not trying to be like absolutely just bad on the kid, but I'm just telling y'all, he gave the other team enough points in the Vanderbilt game, in the freaking Michigan game, and in the Oklahoma game for them to beat us.
He really showed up in the bowl game.
Yeah, exactly. So three games he literally just gave them the football. So anyway, long story short, okay, Riddle. This is where, like I said, I'm okay. Being Bama wherever, I'm okay being outside of top 8. But this is where it gets crazy to me. But then I kind of understand it. Pate has Ohio State at 8. At 8. Who do you have at 8? Defending national champions. Who do you have at 8?
I have my Big 12 champion at 8. I have Arizona State at 8.
Okay.
And Sam Leavitt returning. Jordan Tyson is their number 1 receiver, the guy that got hurt at the end of the year last year. He was having a big year for them. He's going to be back. He's healthy.
Me too, Keith.
They returned 10 starters on defense. Now, this is a Big 12. But they did have the best rush defense in the Big 12, and that's a big deal. If you can't run the ball, you can't open up a passing game. Yeah. So, Scadaboo, he's going to be hard to replace, but they did get a transfer from Army, the Udo kid who ran for 1,117 last year.
Yeah, he knows how to run.
Yeah. They'll run by committee. They got a couple more guys, but yeah, that's where I got Arizona State, and I have them being the Big 12 champion.
All right, Tony, we got Ohio State at 8 on Pate's list, and we got Riddle with Arizona State. What are your thoughts?
Arizona State, that's fine. I like that. I can see that. Ohio State, I'd almost say that's almost fair as well. Yeah. But, let's see here. So, yeah, you got talent, offense side of the ball, unknown quarterback situation. They don't know who's going to start yet. They got like 2. Oh God, I hate know. Them. They got I know they got 2 5-star quarterbacks.
Yeah, they know who's starting.
Now, the thing is, they lost Chip Kelly, who was calling these plays, and Jim Knowles. Now, the other thing I look at though is on defense side of the ball, which I know they're still going to have the players, but man, you lose someone like Captain Jack Sawyer. I don't know. that it's gonna hurt a little bit. Now, I feel like, in my opinion, and I love Pierce, I feel like Jack Sawyer was the better collegiate player. Just
Me too.
Just
From pure production, he couldn't be stopped out there. He couldn't be stopped.
I feel like, he couldn't. He reminded me of, I don't know.
How's that translate to the
Watt
pros?
brothers.
I don't know. I don't know how that translates to the pros.
I mean, he Pittsburgh, so he gets to play.
Yeah.
He didn't go Pittsburgh, right? So guess what? He gets to play alongside TJ.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
He did go Pittsburgh, right?
For
Yeah.
sure.
I feel like he did, but yeah, I feel like that's the biggest void because that dude made so many plays for them.
Yeah, he did.
I run even the playoffs. I mean, you've seen it. No, he took over Notre Dame, took over against Penn State. The Ohio State one's fair, and even Riddle's fair too. Ohio State's one of those teams who could also be a top 5. It's all going to come down
have the talent.
to they got all the talent in the world. It's just they did lose Chip Kelly, who
And Knowles.
yeah, and great play calling.
Yeah.
I'll give him that.
Yeah, they
It's-
proved
it's-
it in the playoffs.
It's
They
a big
proved it in
question
the
mark.
playoffs.
Yeah, it's a big question mark.
They did turn
lose
into
some
the
key
team
pieces.
that we thought they were going to be all year.
Yeah, they should have
Yes.
been. They should have been like that all
Yes.
year. And I went and talked so much shit about him. But
Yeah. 100%. 100%. And,
they would have
and
just done that.
the deal is what I'm learning about this is most of these teams that have talent, like Georgia, like Bama, like all these teams, is the quarterback going to be able to take the next step and get them to the promised land? Ohio State has Julian Sayin. He's a 5-star. He was the number 1 QB in his class. How do I know this? Because he came to Alabama. Then he transferred to Ohio State when Saban left. But all these guys were 5 stars. All these guys, the next man's up on these teams are 5 stars. So that said, Ohio State, Tony brings up a good point, losing both coordinators. I'm going to leave them at 8. That's still a playoff team, and they still can do exactly what they did last year. And, they could still make a run. So real quick here, it says, Brandon says, chances of Georgia Tech in the ACC championship.
Not a chance.
According to Pate's list, they would be. They would be in it versus Miami. No, they wouldn't. No, they wouldn't. I apologize. Yeah, I apologize. They would not. Clemson, I forgot. So they would be just outside of it, but who knows? Maybe they get the nod and then maybe Pate's thinking they lose that game in the championship and Miami sneaks in. I don't know. But anyway, it's possible. They'd have to have a lot go their way though. Carson Beck isn't going to see the grass any greener. Oh yeah. Oh well, yeah. He'll see. So anyway, let's move on down our list. So this is an interesting one too, because Riddle, I asked you a question before the show started, and I'll have you answer this in a minute. But Pate has Oregon at number 7. Hold on, I gotta drag, make sure my TikTok's on in here. All right, so Pate has Oregon at number 7. Who do you got?
I have the ACC champion and Clemson at number 7.
Ooh.
That's who I have winning the ACC. They're returning more than anybody in the country, and Dabo's Dabo. He knows how to win.
Good
you
coach.
can say what you want about him, not changing with the times. He doesn't really do the portal. He doesn't do a lot of that stuff. The NIL is not important to him. He wants guys that want to come to Clemson. That's the guys he's looking for. A huge hire for them in the offseason with Penn State's defensive coordinator is now at Clemson. I think that could be big for them. They've got the talent on defense. They got TJ Parker and Peter Woods come back on that defensive line.
Yeah.
They have the talent. Offensively, we talked about it before the show. Running back's their big question. With the injuries and Moffa leaving, they had to convert a wide receiver to running back. We'll see how that plays out. But they do have Klubnik coming back. He had a big year last year. At one point, he was like one of the sleeper Heisman, finalists. Top deal.
I remember that conversation.
So this is where I have Clemson at as my ACC champion.
So Tony, before I let you, who is Oregon's quarterback? Did we ever figure that out, Riddle? Is it Dante Moore?
I'm not sure.
Yes, it's Dante Moore.
Oh.
So former 5-star, but still the same question we have for Ohio State, same question we have anywhere. Tony, you got Oregon or Clemson at 7. What are your thoughts?
7's fine with me for Clemson. 5 is probably the max where I'm gonna start them off at. If just off my feeling. They are returning. What's his face? K. Klubnik. They got some really good receivers, like Real Cedo. Don't know what they got to run the game. I think that was kind of an issue last year as well for them. Defense still should be good. And they play in the ACC, so I mean, they could easily win the championship again. Now, where this other guy has them is insane to me. Starting off, don't get into that.
Don't get into that yet.
I'm not getting.
But what do you think about Oregon being at 7? What do you think about Oregon being at 7?
Well, if I'm going to say what I said about Ohio State, then I got to say the same thing about Oregon. You said Dante Moore is now the replacement for Dylan Gabriel.
Yeah,
I still think Dan Lanning's a good coach. Great coach.
He is. He's a good coach.
So I mean that's fair. I would base that program, and they're going to spend, and they got a good class too. So whatever, they got some good players. Yeah. They're going to spend money. Who cares?
Yeah.
They're going to. I think money. Really what it comes down to is coaching. And I think he can outcoach the likes of the choke artists at Penn State and such. I think he's better. I think he can get his teams play better than those teams, even though. Well, you know what? Yeah, because Penn State didn't beat Oregon last season, did they?
No, they did not.
Am I tripping?
No, they did not. So, they got beat in the title game. Penn State got beat in the title game.
That's what happened. Yeah. So, just off of coaching alone, Dan Lanning.
Yes.
7's fine. Could be higher.
Okay. I got to catch up on the purple because I've got Thriller and Kias over here. And Thriller said, don't sleep on Ohio State. They still got Jeremiah Smith, who is probably the best receiver in college football.
That's true.
And he said he's open right now. And Kias literally said, "Oh, good, they playing." Anyway, and he said both of y'all need to be on the purple. You need to have both chats pulled up so you can see his comments. He's trying to be live with us. Anyway, okay, we're gonna move on down this list. This is another one. This is the runner-up from last year. So Pate has Notre Dame at 6. Knowing what you know, Riddle, who do you got at 6? How they compare?
This is where I have Georgia. Believe it or not, I have Georgia at 6.
Little modesty. I like that.
Well, here's my reason. Jalen Walker, Smile Munden, Michael Williams, Nazir Stackhouse, Chaz Chambliss, Warren Brinson, Tyrion Dawkins, Malachi Starks, and Dan Jackson, all gone. That's just on the defense.
That's a lot.
On the offensive side, Tate Ratledge, Fairchild, Wilson, and Xavier Truss off the offensive line are gone. ETN, Smith, Lovett are also gone on the offensive side of the ball.
You forgot Beck.
Obviously. Beck's obviously in Miami. Tomato.
Yeah, I got you.
We got to see Gunnar Stockton. I think he played very well against Texas. He put the team on his back. Everybody was inspired to play for him or with him in there, and they won the SEC championship. But we know that they got 4 and 5 stars coming in. We know that they hit the transfer portal. They got receivers coming in, which was a big question mark last year. Branch and Noah Thomas both coming in for Georgia. Humphreys is still there. The transfer from Vanderbilt. Oscar Delp is still there, and I think Delp's good. Lawson Lucky. I think Lawson Lucky. I'm not going to say he's going to be Brock Bowers because Brock Bowers is a once-in-a-generation talent. But Lucky has that build. He can block, he can catch, he can run routes. He's very good. They still have the weapons. Defensively, they still got C.J. Allen. They still got one of the best linebacking cores in the country. They just reload. It's what Georgia's done here as of late. But that offensive line is what scares me because we lost a lot of experience on the offensive line. So I've got them at 6 for those reasons, and hopefully I'm wrong.
Well, Tony, you got Notre Dame here, so they lost their quarterback.
But he's fantastic or anything. He's just a runner. He's a warrior.
Yeah, 100%. But I mean, Is it schedule, guys? Is it schedule that keeps Notre Dame here? Is that what we're gonna say? Schedule.
Well,
Schedule
what
was
they
it
got
last year.
They do have Miami and Texas. That's gonna be the early part of the season, right?
That's Texas
Yes.
A&M, right? That's Texas A&M.
And of course, they'll play the sorry ass USC Trojans. No, it's Texas.
Is it
not
Texas?
Longhorn?
Texas?
Is it not Longhorn?
Notre Dame plays Texas,
Hang on, let me look.
and I'm sitting here saying Texas has got an easy schedule. They play Ohio State and Notre Dame. Holy shit!
I thought they were Texas and Notre Dame. I know they play Miami. I haven't.
Yeah, I know. Thriller says they got running back Love at Notre Dame. I like Love.
Probably best
I like
running back in the
Love.
nation.
I like him, but I mean, I don't know. I guess maybe they're gonna do it with the running game and defense. That's fine.
I'm gonna give them
that's more
They
buy-in.
play Texas.
Go ahead.
So-
They
Phil.
do play Texas.
Notre Dame opens at Miami, and then they're off on the 6th, and then they're home against A&M. Not
Okay.
Texas.
A&M?
It's Texas A&M.
I was
Yeah.
thinking it was Longhorns. Oh well, never mind.
And they also get USC at home,
Yeah.
Woohoo!
and that I mean
USC,
they play
that's a win.
Syracuse late in the year, but
But I mean,
Good.
the filler,
they
the
got
filler
Boise
really,
State, but Boise State's chinty-less.
yeah, the filler for Notre Dame is always just subpar. Like, I mean, Georgia could go play Ole Miss one week, and then Kentucky could give them a scare the very next week, and just because it's SEC, I mean, you don't know what you're going to get. You don't know about the rivalry, but anyway,
Right.
I ain't going to sit there and get into that crap. But so, Tony, Notre Dame, you're okay with 6?
That's fine because of schedule alone. I mean, they'll probably run through it again if I had to guess. It's taking throwing darts.
So-
They could probably easily run through it, and I know they lost some of their interior, defensive side of the ball. I'm not really too worried about the quarterback position. It's the same thing as like me talking about the Nico shit. So that's what Leonard did last year. He literally just ran the ball. He couldn't get the ball to the receivers. That kind of hurts, at certain points in the game. So anyone with a pulse, really, at quarterback position, they do anything better what he could do at running. Now, he's a warrior.
Yeah.
Tough son of a bitch, but obviously it hurt when they needed to use his arm in the Ohio State game. And last year, though, hell, they got probably one of the better secondaries in college football.
Mm-hmm.
So they could easily
And Freeman can coach.
run through their schedule. Top 6,
So
They can't. Well, they still can't be top 4 team or some
they
shit.
be five is as high as they can go.
Okay,
Yeah.
so 5's how they can go then.
Well,
Six
maybe,
is fine, though.
maybe we got news coming. Anyway, so long story short, TJ in the chat says Ryan. He's talking about Ryan Williams going to hold all that hardware at the end of the year. This isn't new news. Okay, hey, I like that optimism. And then Thriller says Tony USC better record than UT this year. Mark it down. He don't give no shits. Now moving on down the list here. We're top 5. Pate has LSU. He's digging the LSU vibe. He's digging LSU. He's buying what they're selling. Riddle, who you got at 5? Let's see what Tony thinks.
I got Oregon here
Okay.
at number 5.
Okay, so now
And yeah, the quarterback, they ain't got Bo Nix, they ain't got Dylan Gabriel, who both those guys when they went there had brought a lot of experience with them.
that's
So they're
true.
going with Dante Moore. But that defense is built to win. Dan Lanning came from Georgia. He's built that defense up. They're going to be one of the top defenses in the nation again. I think they're going to be just fine with up there in the Big Ten. So I got them at 5. Will they beat the Ohio States and another team from the Big Ten that we're going to talk about here soon? Maybe not. We'll see. But that's where I got them in the preseason poll is number 5.
All right. So Tony Thriller just wants you to know USC was 2-0 against SC last year with the 6-16. Other than that, anyway, long story short, Tony, they played LSU at the beginning of the season, and So anyway,
I think we touched on LSU already, and I already had to say what I had to say about LSU about Kelly.
Brian
down there.
Keith
Who can't
from the
coach.
old tire room. Brian Keith from the old tire room.
Go Vols.
He said what? He said Vols
go
over
Vols.
Bama. Okay. Pate don't even have him in the top 20, but okay. So
Well, Pate's an idiot, so
all right.
look who's got number 1.
Tony, what are your
But
thoughts?
anyways.
What are your thoughts on the LSU scenario, top 5 or Oregon? How you feeling?
Well, I'm not giving them their flowers. They're not a top 5 team to start off the season.
You talking
That's
about
stupid.
LSU?
Yes, I
Okay.
feel like that shit's every year with them. Oh, we're gonna give them a top 10 ranking award. They don't fucking deserve that. Kelly's done nothing for his program to even sniff a top 10 pre-ranking. I don't give a shit. It's pre-ranking. Just
So you're saying they got to
talk
earn
me
it?
about LSU at the
They
end of the
gotta
season.
earn it.
Yeah,
They gotta
talk to me
earn
at the
it.
end of the
Okay.
season about LSU. They have
Okay.
all the talent in the world, but something about the coach, he's ass, and he doesn't bring any type of defense.
All right.
You got to have it. And he
I got
doesn't
you.
bring it.
I got you.
I can't give it to
understand.
him. That's
fine.
crazy.
All right. Okay, we're just gonna move on. This is good. Okay, so Josh Pate has Alabama at number 4. So Riddle had him in the top 10. Pate has him at number 4. Reasons cited were defense returning, obviously good production out of the defense. Riddle, we already discussed this previously. Lots of skilled positions. The only question mark for returning O lineman is quarterback. So Pate's got him at 4, but who do you have it for?
I have Notre Dame at 4, and again, that goes. We talked about it. I'm not going to linger on this too long. Their schedule is going to be favorable to them. They've got a couple tough games early, but with those tough games early, you have time to bounce back from those the rest of the year. Their offensive line is pretty much intact from last year, and whoever gets the quarterback, kind of like what Tony was saying, it doesn't really matter. You still got Jeremiah Love in the backfield, and that kid can run the football, and especially against that offensive line. So
Yeah,
Notre Dame's going to be there based off of name alone. Now, what they do on the field, we'll see.
Yeah. Okay. That's good. Tony, any thoughts on that? Alabama, Notre Dame?
No, I'm cool with either. Really, like we pretty much already said that Alabama's got
Yeah.
they can easily be a top 5.
Yeah.
Just off
It's all about how the
talent
ball
they
bounces
have.
for either one of these teams. That's what it's about.
Yeah,
how
I
the
mean
ball bounces.
it's pretty much it, And Riddle did mention like Notre Dame, they do have probably the best, according to experts, the best tackle tandem in the nation. So
Yeah, I agree.
they can ride. I mean, they can be just hogs really if they want to.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter what quarterback's in.
Yeah, it's going to be. I agree, Thriller. He says Notre Dame's going to be old school ball, run it, and play good defense. I agree, and that we've already said that numerous times. We talked about Georgia. We said it. That's all you really need. We've proven that. We thought you didn't need that. We thought that the way this world was working, that you needed to be flashy and all these things, and then Notre Dame made it to the finals last year. So I mean, and Georgia obviously won the SEC, beat Texas twice, doing the same thing. So either way, I agree. Defense, running the football, it can get you there. I hope we're getting back to that, but we'll see. Florida Cop, before we move on, says, what team has the best running back duo?
We hadn't got to them yet.
Oh, there it is. There it is. Okay, so here we go. We're moving down the list. Josh Pate has the Penn State University Nittany Lions at number 3. No Tyler Warren, none of that. Don't need it. James Franklin's gonna go up there and beat everybody's ass in the Big Ten. Riddle, who you got at 3? Who you got at 3?
I have Ohio State at 3.
Oh, okay. So you got Ohio State maintaining the title. Okay.
I have them at 3.
Yeah. Okay.
Questions, they had to replace both coordinators.
Uh-huh.
They did hire Matt Patricia, though.
Yes.
So, I mean,
that's a big get for defense. That's a big get.
Good hire.
It is.
You talked about saying he's looking like he's going to win the job there.
He is. It's going to happen.
Still have one of the best wide receiver groups in the country.
I'd say the best wide receiver group.
And I don't know if you'll agree with this, but they might have the most dynamic player on defense too, in Caleb Downs.
Yeah, that's fine. I'll give Caleb Downs that.
So they're going to be there. They've spent the money. They've got the talent. They'll be there. But I have them at 3.
Okay. You have them at 3. Tony, Penn State, Ohio State, 3. Break it down for me. What do you got?
I'm still putting fucking Ohio State over Penn State. I don't care. What did I call James Franklin last year? The God, it has something to do with choking.
It was the Michael Jordan of God damn, it was the Michael Jordan of something.
I can't remember.
It was the Michael.
Oh, the Michael Jordan of Ryan Days.
Oh my God.
The Michael Jordan of Ryan Days. Obviously, just before Ryan Day won his championship. But before that, he was the Michael Jordan.
Yeah, you can't talk shit about Ryan Day no more. He did what he needed to do.
Well,
he got
congratulations. Hell, he should. No, first off, I can still talk shit just because.
I know you can.
That guy had the most loaded roster, and all
probably had the most loaded roster in probably the past 5 years. If you just look at overall NFL, and I know Georgia. I know Georgia has had I know you've had big years, Riddle. I'm just saying, like, he should have been way more successful. Anyway, go ahead, Tony.
It's just like now. Go ahead.
No, I was going to say now, you got the Fighting James Franklins. Am I really going to say they're a top 3 team? Like, no, I can't fucking do it. I'll give them like top 6. All right, if you want to throw them anywhere in that mix, actually no, I'm not giving them 1, 2, 3. So anywhere 4, 5, 6, that's where they can stand. Because until James Franklin actually does something, then no, I'm giving them the LSU treatment and whoever treatment. You haven't done shit. You've done as much as fucking Tennessee has, all right, and forever. So I don't want to fucking hear it.
So Kia said, I think we should have kept saying. I hope that doesn't come back to bite DeBoer. Sayin left, Kias. He left. The minute Saban announced a transfer, he left. He requested a transfer. It wasn't we didn't want him. We would have definitely taken him. He just left. But, all right, let's move on down this list. We're almost there. Josh Pate has the University of Texas, the real UT.
No,
at number 2.
UT Junior.
At number 2.
Make it known. UT Junior.
He said this color orange is what's going to happen when Texas lights Tennessee's ass on fire. This is the color orange we got. Riddle, Pate has a Texas at 2. I know Texas is in one of these spots for you. Who do you got at 2?
Texas fell at 2 on my list too.
Okay.
As good as and as talented as Arch Manning is, he had limited work against smaller schools last year. He looked great. Don't get me wrong. He looked really good when he was in. But can he live up to the hype? And the hype for him is probably higher than any other quarterback to ever play the game. Just because of who his uncles are.
Agreed.
Texas is another team like Ohio State. They've got the money. They're going to bring in the talent. They're going to have the talent. They're going to be there. And if they can put it all together, it's going to look a lot like last year. Now, can Georgia beat them twice again this year? We'll see. But I have Texas at 2 right now.
Can't wait. All right. Okay, so Thriller says how you classify a team as being the real one is, do they have a natty in the 21st century?
No, how you classify?
Dude, you can't fucking even argue that shit.
You see, Watt College came before Watt College. Don't get me started on UT Junior. They should, I said, Tony, they should be part of Mexico if it went for us. But go ahead.
So this is unanimous. Texas at number 2. Do you agree with that assessment?
I mean, that's fine, but really, they should be number 1. I mean, they got the Manning quarterback and all the talent in the world and the money they spent. Yeah, that should be number 1 team, hands down. I don't care.
Let's talk about the Manning quarterback. Let's talk about the Manning because Riddle, Georgia has Stockton, who's got some experience, not a lot. We can all agree, not a lot. Ty has some experience, not a lot. Manning has some experience, not a lot. All these teams are very similar with talent. Their roster looks very similar. Manning is getting the nod because of the name, but does he warrant that talent-wise? I'm sure he does. I'm sure he's worth it. I mean, analysts say this is one of the best prospects ever. But does he warrant that much credit over teams like Alabama, Georgia?
Well, it's like I said, the name alone brings the expectation. I mean, Eli Manning took Ole Miss from a really bad team to a 10-game winner.
Yeah, he did.
That's the first time they've done that since Archie was there, which is another Manning. Peyton, we all know what Peyton did.
Yep.
Best quarterback in college football his senior year. Hands down.
He has good mentors.
Right. I mean,
Yeah, he's
it's
got the
not like
best.
it's not like he hasn't been taught by the literal best all of his life.
I agree.
And
I'm just
he can
asking.
run. He can run, which is something his uncles can't do. His grandpa could run. He
Yeah.
can make plays with his feet. And as long as he doesn't panic, which I don't think he'll have any problem with it with what they're bringing back, they're bringing back receivers, they're bringing back linemen. They lost some, but they added some. So are those pieces going to fit? I think they're going to be very competitive. I think they're going to be very good. And they're going to be very hard to beat.
Now, the only thing I will say about this is if Manning goes down, where do they turn to? I know they have another guy. I know Georgia has another guy besides Gunnar Stockton. The only thing about some of these places like Ohio State and Alabama is we've actually had to have quarterback competitions. Granted, I think we all know who's going to win those competitions. So I think there's a little bit to be said for depth, but I think we're all playing the quarterback question mark game because, I mean, like if Gunnar Stockton goes down, where does Georgia go? I know they have talent. There's no denying it, but it's going to be huge.
The most fun part for me through the entire SEC, damn near, especially with all these teams that we have ranked, they all have young, very talented quarterbacks.
Yep.
And can those guys meet the expectations that are before them? And like I said, none of them have higher expectations than Arch Manning.
Yeah, that's crazy. That's really crazy, actually. I don't even think Nussmeier has those expectations, but
no.
But anyway, let's see here. Thriller says fed with a golden spoon of football, but pressure bursts pipes. He can handle it. So okay. We got him at 2, so obviously we think he can handle it. Josh Pate, number one team on his list is Clemson. Number one team on his list is Clemson. Riddle, you've already elaborated. We don't need to go over this again. We'll let Tony rant in a minute. But basically, Clemson brings back a lot. They have a lot of experience. They have a national title winning coach. They have some continuity on some play callers this year.
Big defensive coordinator hire.
Yes, big hire. Tom Allen, which is a big hire. Offensive coordinator stays the same, and they did have a solid offense last year. So who do you have at 1? And then we'll let Tony rant because I got a feeling it's going to be like Woody Dog.
Oh, Tony's going to rant on both of these because I have Penn State number 1.
Crazy.
Everything they're bringing back, they're bringing back Drew Aller. And to answer the question from earlier, the best running back duo in the nation, I feel, is at Penn State, and Nicholas Singleton and Patron Allen. I mean, those guys, that's going to be a 1-2 punch for that team. They hired Knowles away from Ohio State on the defense that is returning talent. So I know, Tony, how he feels about James Franklin. I know, and I understand that. But this is his best chance this year.
This is his best chance. This is his best chance. Yes, I agree with you, Riddle, 100%.
Chance.
So we're saying his last chance.
It may be. It might be. In this age in college football, winning national titles and just period, it's not easy to do.
Yeah. If he don't win it this year, guys, he might as well go to Hawaii and just live out his days.
But this is his best chance. And the crazy thing is he's bringing in Knowles. I mean, who worked right beside Ryan Day in Ohio State. So he's got the talent. He's got the defense. He's got the offensive weapons. Can he put it all together? Can he not make a coaching mistake late in a game that's going to cost them? Like that's really what this boils down to. He's got the team to do it. And the receiving core last year, outside of Warren, they really didn't have that go-to playmaker on the outside. And they've hit the portal, and they brought in Pena, Devontae Ross, and then USC transfer for Thriller, Kyron Hudson. And Pena, he caught 84 passes last year, and he's transferred in there. So they've got receivers now, and plus the best running back duo, in my opinion, in the nation. So Aller has no excuses. Penn State has no excuses. This is Franklin's best chance that he's ever had. So
yeah, and Florida Cop says, "How is Tom Allen a bigger hire than Jim Knowles?" We're not saying it was a bigger hire. We didn't want to let the cat. We didn't want to let the cat out of the bag for Riddle's top number 1 team. So Tony, The floor is yours. The two number one teams, according to Josh Pate, who gets paid to do this for a living, and Riddle, who sat at the wigwag did this today.
Probably researches more than any of us.
I know. So they have Clemson 1 or Penn State 1. Go.
This sucks. Okay, because I'm pretty sure I just said not too long ago is I'm giving Penn State the LSU treatment. I'm not going to give them that. I'll give them the best I'll give them top 6. I don't give a shit. And okay, this is preseason rankings, so yeah, you can have a little fun, just pretty much whack off to this stuff, and maybe something will stick. But I just think both. This is terrible. To have Clemson and Penn State to choose from as my number 1 preseason rank. Well, congratulations. I go ahead and give them the preseason championship. They can have the preseason championship award right now because they're not going to end with it.
Well,
I mean,
I'll say
it
this.
is what it is.
I'll say this for Tony's point, and Jordan said this earlier today. He didn't join us tonight, but he did say it earlier when we were talking in our group message. He said, no rankings matter until the first college football playoff ranking. So
you're 100% correct,
right.
But we're just like everybody else now, and we got to have content. So I appreciate it. I appreciate it. I like it. I thought it's interesting.
I think how I look at it is, though, you know, I know they do the preseason rankings. I'm looking at it as a finish, though.
Yeah, that's how I get you, and I think that's what they're doing too. But it's still too early to tell.
They're high as fuck.
Yeah.
But it's fun to, like me coming up with my formula today, it's fun to come up with that because we all know this because we've been around college football for a long time. The way that teams finished last year does carry weight into how they start this year as far as the rankings go, even though it's not fair to do that because all teams change every year. Case in point, Florida State. Look where they were. Look where they finished. You know, in the preseason, they were expected to have a big year, and they started 1-9 or something like that.
Yeah.
That was last year, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
but I did take last year's AP poll. Mm-hmm. It carried weight. I had put like a BCS type system together. I took multiple different polls from different time frames, and I just think I like I said, James Franklin better get it done this year. This is his best chance. I wish Warren was still on this team, and in the way that he could do anything, that would just give him even more of an edge. But it's fun to go through these preseason rankings, and then we can look back on the end of the year and see which teams did what we thought they were going to do, and then which teams failed miserably. Because it's going to happen. Somebody in this top 25 is going to fall out and not have the year that they were expected to have. And that's
I'm glad you use your criteria then, and Pates, because if that's the case, if we're going off by last year, why the fuck is Tennessee on? Don't tell me, oh, you guys lost Nico. No fucking way. Like bullshit. Okay?
You know what's crazy? The research that I did today.
Yeah.
Almost every ranking I found before the post-spring rankings come out, every one of the way too early ones had Tennessee ranked until Nico transferred. And then they fell out of almost everybody's ranking.
That young quarterback meant that much to the team.
These motherfuckers did not watch those fucking games. Any of these games last year.
Tony.
None. Zero.
Chad's in here.
Chad has the question of the night, and he says, Jeff, why do you have an Alabama football? And why is it on top? Go ahead and tell him.
My girlfriend, well, the reason it's on top is because that's where the opening was. That's first and foremost. But my girlfriend is an Alabama fan, and this signature right here says to Kirsten, Roll Tide, Nick Saban. So that ball's been signed by a lot of people. She asked me if she could put it up with my stuff. I said yes. We will rearrange it. But
he finally bet on a winner, folks. He finally bet on a winner, and it's paying off. It's paying off big time. And then, so this is just from the purple. Kia says, tell Jordan to bring his tailback so we can keep these bets going. Yukon Cornelius, and he also asked why we didn't do the Lock, Loaded, and Goated page on the purple, and there's a reason for that. it's going to take a little bit, and we'll talk about that later on another podcast. But anyway, we're working towards it.
Wall came in and said, "Who is y'all's dark horse this year?"
Yes.
And if you're referring to a
what does that
national
mean?
title,
what does dark horse mean? Like wins it all?
Top 20.
No, wins it all. I mean, I'll go first. My dark horse to win it all would be Notre Dame. Now I know that's not that far fetched because they're still top 6 or 10, no matter what poll you look at. So my dark horse would be Notre Dame, just because that would bring a historic program back to significant prominence if they won it all.
I'll throw you out a good dark horse.
All right.
And this is what it is. It's a dark horse. Arizona State.
Dude, that's who I looked at too. I looked at them and I was like, I
Levitt and
I just like Notre Dame's defense better. I like Notre Dame's defense better.
And granted, that's the question for Arizona State is, can their defense hold up against these top teams? And I mean, it's a dark horse, and they could.
Florida Cop says UNLV. Buddy, you out there in space. But hey, I like UNLV. I like UNLV. I like them. I just don't think though. I mean, I think depth wise.
That'll be a conversation, because I noticed today doing my rankings for this, and most of the rankings I saw, there's no group of fives. That you might have one scattered in here or there in the group of 5, but it's all Power 4 conference teams.
So
speaking
of that,
going to come in.
We're going to go to our news that you sent out, Riddle. So the playoff committee is considering and will be voted on within the next month or two.
So the conference champions wouldn't get the automatic buys.
Yes,
which we talked about. Well, we talked about that.
We talked about it. Yeah, we talked about it. But it's official. It's on the docket. Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, I'm saying, are we still will get in?
But I was thinking they're going to change that this upcoming playoffs.
They haven't done it this one, but
oh my god,
the conference champions will still get in. They just won't get those 1 through 5 seeds.
Yeah, I wish they should. Yeah, they definitely shouldn't. But
so and I don't mean to be like but so you look at these lists and it really means nothing, because on this list, there's not even a Power 4. There's not even a Group of 5 team on Pate's list in the top 20.
There wasn't one on mine.
So someone is going to be sneaking in from way back when into the playoffs, and Tony, me and Riddle talked about this before we got on. I have seen many a playoff rankings where Navy was going to make it. I don't like that. I don't know if I don't know. I don't like the whole group of 5 anyway, but it's very interesting right now. It's very interesting to see what happens. I do agree with the playoff committee. We should absolutely eliminate this where you get a bye week, because there's no sense in someone like Arizona State or Boise State getting a bye week when you did nothing to deserve it. Nothing. You played. I'm not saying they played Oregon and they played them close, but Boise State was an exception, not the rule. But we saw what happened when they got in the playoffs. We saw what happened. They were clearly outmatched, and it is what it is. But I think they should be in the playoff. I didn't say they shouldn't be in the playoff, but we need to definitely get away from that, because it makes no sense to me. But okay. With that said, Riddle had a top 10 coaching list. He wants to. So Kias asked the question. Really, if you answer this question, then go into your list. What is the point of winning the conference now?
I mean, you're still automatically in if you win your conference.
Yes.
So you're still guaranteed to go. Now, for the lesser conferences, of course, your highest ranked group of 5 champion is going to go.
Yep.
Like last year, the ACC was very down. So Clemson had to win it to get in.
Yeah.
Or whoever was going to win that conference was going to get in. But that was really going to be their only team in. So it still guaranteed them getting in. It's still important to win the conference. It's just not your only avenue in. Here's the crazy thing, especially for the Big Ten and the SEC. If you don't win that conference or play for that conference championship, you're going to be in a mix of 4 or 5 teams fighting for 3 or 4 spots.
Yeah, because you're going to be sitting with 3 losses.
Yeah, right. You don't want to be that team on the outside
Yeah. Ask me
Alabama.
how we know.
Ask me how we know. Alabama last year. So winning the conference is still very, very important.
Yeah, agreed. So, Riddle, go over your list of top 10 coaches of all time. He found a list that he was very excited about.
I just thought it was very interesting. We discussed it before the show. Me and you did. There obviously, with any list you come out like this, there's going to be, head scratchers and, well, where's this guy? But I would love to have gotten Jordan's take on this too. But this top 10 college football coaches of all time list, at number 10 they have Barry Switzer. Number 9 they have Urban Meyer. 8 is Kirby Smart. 7 is Joe Paterno. 6 is Tom Osborne.
Okay, yeah.
5 is Woody Hayes. 4 is Newt Rockne. 3 is Bobby Bowden. And then, of course, the top 2, anybody in the chat or anybody that's ever followed college football for any amount of time know who the top 2 coaches are. Number 2 is Bear Bryant. Number 1 is Nick Saban. I mean, can't argue.
No Bobby Bowden?
He was 3. He was 3, Tony. He was 3.
Oh, I went deaf there then.
Yeah. Florida Cop knew. Yeah. Saban and Bryant, 1 and 2.
There's just a lot, man. There's
just the only argument you can make is between the 1 and the 2, but I still think Saban gets it just because.
So, I'm gonna ask this question because Tony's in the chat. He's in here. He's participating. So I'm gonna ask this question: are you putting Urban Meyer over General Neyland? I don't know, man. I'm just asking.
No. If I'm going off just being a stand-up guy and integrity, not being a piece of shit and all that, no. Fuck Urban Meyer.
You see that?
This guy.
Yeah, that's pretty awesome. So this Florida Cop is bringing in some heat. Tony, he's bringing in some heat in the comments. So he said he played for Joe Pa. So if you want to talk about a person, a great coach, most wins, yes. I think Joe Pa definitely deserves to be in this conversation. And
he should. Was he not mentioned?
And he was.
Okay.
But Jimmy brought up, what about Eddie Robinson, which is a name that absolutely should be mentioned. And if you're asking me, I put him in over Urban Meyer any day of the fucking week. I'm just telling you right now.
And we talked about this before the show. Even Kirby, is successful as he's been since he came to Georgia, it's still really early in his coaching career.
Too early now.
He's got many, many, many years left.
But his trajectory is aiming that way. Urban Meyer's done.
Absolutely.
Urban Meyer's done. Like he's done. Like, I mean, unless he tries to pull some like freaking Mac Brown, and that ain't gonna. You saw what that happened. You saw what that did.
Right. But I think Kirby, it's a little too early, and I'm a Georgia fan, and I love Kirby, but I think it's too early for him to be on that list. Now, if you're talking about top 10 coaches of the last decade, absolutely, he deserves to be on there. He'd be near the top, but he's still got a lot of coaching ahead of him. So.
And I don't mean this to be like we were talking about this earlier, Riddle me, but like you got Walter Camp, you've got like Thorpe, you've got coaches that set the groundwork for all of college football. You have Neyland, like we talked about. There's a lot of
Woody
coaches.
Hayes.
Yeah, Woody Hayes was on the list. Yes.
What about everybody's love to hate SEC coach Steve Spurrier?
It's another one. Like if you're asking, I would put Spurrier over Urban Meyer right now. No doubt about it. No doubt about it. He went to Florida Spurrier, and they were losers.
Yeah. The only thing that hurts him kind of is people remember the South Carolina.
They were relevant. They were relevant.
They were relevant. Yeah, I'll give them that. But it just wasn't the same. I think what when he went to South Carolina, he was going to bring that Florida, kind of like swagger, winning championships and shit. Yeah. It's kind of like Lou Holtz, sorry ass, going from Notre Dame to South Carolina.
Now, I will say, Steve Spurrier and you said Lou Holtz, they both have two of the most iconic quotes of all time to me. And one of Spurrier's my favorite Spurrier line was, "You can't spell citrus without UT."
That's true.
Yeah, no one cares.
That one was a good one. And then Holtz, if you could translate it through the spitting and the saliva, he said, "The good Lord put eyes in front of our head instead of in the back, so we can see where we're going instead of where we've been."
And so one more name. I had to think about this because Thriller's been with us most of the night, but I want to. What about John McKay? out of
USC.
USC. I mean,
Legendary out there.
Some of the greatest
I'm
teams to ever.
So glad he didn't say Pete Carroll.
No,
it's not a legend.
no.
Maybe for like 6 years.
3 years, yeah.
Or whatever it was.
I mean, but you got to look at it like, man, I don't know that the list we could argue back and forth.
Oh, yeah.
Like I think personally, I think General Neyland should be on there over someone like Urban Meyer for sure. But I think Eddie Robinson absolutely should be on that list. You know, I mean, but then again, are we looking at just Division I, FBS football?
Which, like I said,
there's a way to look at this.
I don't think Urban deserves to be on that list, even though he was a very successful coach for a very short amount of time at different locations, and that's a big thing.
3 national titles, agreed,
right.
and he
won. He won at Utah. He won at Florida. Well,
with national titles at 2 locations.
Yeah. Florida and then Ohio State.
Yeah.
But does he deserve to be on the top 10 of all time? Probably not. Kirby, not yet. Let's see what Kirby does the rest of his career. Hell, Mark Richt is loved in Georgia because he averaged 10 wins a year for 15 damn years and was really set that groundwork to make Georgia the contender they are today. So Kirby just got them over the hump. So
Fat Phil is loved in Tennessee because he bought all the Krispy Kreme stock. I mean, this shit matters. I mean, obviously, but 100%. We could go 15 million ways on that list. I think we know that the top general group.
The top two for sure are undisputed.
Dude, like even Saban. Saban was just a meticulous, relentless man who demanded perfection. And and Bear Bryant was just a fucking hard-nosed, old-school guy. Smoke a cigar right on the freaking field.
If you've never seen the movie Junction Boys, watch Junction Boys.
Yeah, so 100%. But anyway, that's going to do it for tonight. We appreciate everybody that tuned in. Appreciate you on the purple over there. We see you, Kias. Appreciate everybody on the talk. And
hold on.
We are live.
One more question.
What is it? Whoa.
He says, what are you basing the top 2 on?
National titles.
Well, not only that, it's longevity, winning,
long time dominance,
bringing programs to success. Because a lot of people don't know this. Bear Bryant was at Kentucky before he came to Alabama. He was at A&M, brought a very bad A&M team to prominence.
Very bad. Yeah.
Saban, he won at LSU, went and threw his hat in the NFL ring, then came back to Alabama and turned them into the power that they've been.
Yeah.
For years and years. I mean, it's
you know what? And Saban would have been a very successful coach if the Dolphins would have let him get Drew Brees.
100%. He would have never came to Alabama, and this monster would have never been created.
Yeah.
But then again, would Kirby have been created? Would all of this stuff played out the way it did? I think he would still would have been.
We've argued this before.
Yeah.
I think we've argued this before. And now, as far as a head coach goes, I will not argue that he probably learned a ton from Nick Saban. There's no denying that. But as far as his defensive mind and everything, he was his own guy. He was one of the best defensive coaches in the nation.
I think he would have been successful. I don't think there's no doubt about that. I just, we all pick up. Would Saban be as successful if he wouldn't have coached under Belichick in the NFL? We can't say with that because that's what happened. But he said, Florida Cop said different eras of coaches. You're 100% correct. The only argument I'll say is Bear Bryant fits the mold of the Joe Pa, Bobby Bowden kind of style of coach. Mm-hmm. And I think he was one of the best to do it. Bear Bryant was. I said one of the best. I'm not going to say the best. I said one of the best.
Which, Saban, again,
it's
they won everywhere they went, and that speaks a lot.
Saban created the biggest dynasty in college football history. No one's ever done what Alabama did. They just tore off title for a 10-year span that no one's came close to. I know, but that's why when we says different era of coaches, that's why he's there.
2012 still hurts.
Yeah. It's fantastic. Yeah. About 20 years. Yeah. You're right. But when I say Saban, I said, 2009 was his first title. 2020 was the last title. You're talking about 11-year span. You win 6 titles. I mean, that's about as dominant as I've ever heard college football. So, but yes, I agree. Anyway, that's going to do it for us tonight on Lock, Loaded, and Goated. We are here live during the football season every Wednesday and Saturday night at 8:30. You can find us on YouTube, Twitch, or TikTok. We're also trying Kick out. So we have many options for you. You can listen to this podcast on Amazon Music, Apple Podcasts, and Spotify. We appreciate everyone for being here, and thank you for listening to Lock, Loaded, and Goated. We will see you next time, guys.